So the 45 recommendations shine a light on the key issues hampering women's full and free access and participation in all areas of our economy and society, which should not be so prevalent today in 2021. We do have a long way yet still to go. We know that COVID-19 disproportionately impacted women, and unfortunately it still is. We know about the feminisation of poverty. We have heard that we are on the verge of another recessionary chapter in Ireland. We know the risk of she-cession. We know that women earn less than men. And in terms of the gender pay gap, Ireland ranks 18th of the EU 27 member states. Worse than that, we have a 40% gender pension gap in this state. Enough is enough. Our women have suffered and have been punished enough. The recommendations made to resolve these discrepancies must be heeded by Cabinet in the interest of fairness, in the interest of equality, in the interest of having a decent society, one in which we can all be proud of. I stand here today as a young woman and whose journey here to this very house was not the typical route by any standards, and some have called it the leap from the dole to the doll. And I'm still in the maternity stage of my life, meaning my children are not fully reared and mothering is still very much part of my everyday life. I know through my own experience and my work, and I'm aware of all of the attitudinal barriers faced by young women, by disadvantaged women, by lone parent mothers, by disabled women, by traveller women, by refugee women, the difficulties to be fully valued and recognised in society. We know childcare, adequate supports for victims of domestic, sexual and gender-based violence, maternity leave for all elected representatives, state recognition of care work, closing the gender pay gap and gender quotas, just to name a few. These are the very issues that, unless progressed, allow for gender inequality to persist, and many are areas that Sinn Féin have been leading the way on for years now. Only part of the reason why I am so proud to be a representative for Sinn Féin. In terms of representation, we had one more female TD returned after the general election 2020, and that pace of change is far too slow. Sinn Féin strongly support the call for gender quotas and believe that they should be incrementally increased toward 50%. Fair is fair and equality is equality. One area where there is barriers to full and meaningful participation in politics, for example, is a lack of maternity leave for Oireachtas members on a legislative footing. If there is a genuine political will to ensure full and meaningful participation in Parliament, barriers need to be removed. The lack of explicit provision of support for a pregnant woman or new mother essentially excludes that woman from holding office or putting herself forward. And until such time as we have such provisions, and obviously then a Parliament that is fully representative of our diverse society, people unfortunately will remain to be unrepresented. Speaking on gender equality was important for me, and I really hope that the Cabinet are going to heed the 45 priority recommendations of the Citizen Assembly on gender equality points, which are critical if we are to give real substance to the phrase gender equality. Sinn Féin have been paving the way in terms of many of these recommendations. As my colleague Deputy O'Reilly mentioned, just this week, for example, it has been announced that there are more than 50% of Sinn Féin MLAs in the North that are female. That is what equality looks like, and I welcome the expertise and comprehensive research represented in these recommendations, and I do really compel and urge the Government to prioritise their implementation. Thank you.